Hello, welcome to the course SJPHY2C02 Optics, Laser and Electronics. The contents of today's lecture is taken from Principles of Electronics by V.K. Mehta. We will continue to discuss topics from Module 4, Electronics. So far we have been discussing about working of a diode. In today's class, let's discuss about a transistor. As you know, a diode consists of a single p-n junction, whereas a transistor consists of two p-n junctions formed by sandwiching either a p-type or an n-type semiconductor between a pair of opposite types. So there are two types, a PNP transistor, as you can see in this figure here, a p-type semiconductor is sandwiched between two n-types. And you also can construct an NPN transistor where an n-type semiconductor is sandwiched between two p-types. Transistor has three sections: emitter, base and collector. Emitter is a section on one side of the transistor which supplies charge carriers. In the case of an NPN transistor, the charge carriers are electrons, and in the case of PNP, it is holes. Emitter is always forward biased with respect to the base so that it can supply large number of majority carriers. Second one, collector. Collector is the section on the other side of the transistor which basically collects the charge carriers which the emitter injects into it. Collector is always reverse bias with respect to the base so that it can remove charges from the junction. Base is the middle section which forms two p-n junctions between the emitter and the collector. So you can see here there is one p-n junction, here another p-n junction. So as I said, emitter basically injects charge carriers and collector collects those charge carriers. So essentially you have a flow of charge carriers from emitter to the collector. So basically base mediates the charge flow from emitter to the collector. Some of the details about the transistor. So if you look at this diagram, base is very thin and the collector is wider compared to base and emitter. And the reason why collector is the widest among all these is that if you look at the charge flow, all the charges from the emitter flow towards the collector. So there is a lot of current flowing into the collector. We know current flow inherently associated with heat dissipation, right? So during the transistor operation, much heat is produced at the collector junction. So collector is made larger in order to dissipate this heat. In terms of doping concentration, emitter is heavily doped so that it can inject a large number of charge carriers into the base. Base is lightly doped and very thin so that it passes most of the emitter injected charge carriers into the collector, and the collector is moderately doped. The reason why base is lightly doped is that, so if you look at an NPN transistor, so emitter is going to push a lot of free electrons towards the base. And in the case of base, here since it is p-type, the majority carriers are holes, right? So if the base is wide and heavily doped, there are large number of holes here. So the moment the free electron from the emitter reaches the base, they are going to recombine with the base. So basically you're going to lose a lot of the conduction electrons which are part of the current flow. Okay, so in order to secure those free electrons or the free carriers, the base is intentionally made very lightly doped. A transistor has two p-n junctions. So this is one junction. You can treat it as a diode, and this is the second diode. So it's like a combination of two diodes. So the junction between emitter and base is called emitter-base diode, or simply the emitter diode. Similarly, the junction between base and collector is called collector-base diode or collector diode. As I said earlier, the emitter diode is always forward bias. If you look at this PNP transistor, the P side emitter is connected to positive terminal, the N side base is connected to the negative terminal. So this is forward bias. In the case of NPN, the N-sided emitter is connected to the negative terminal, P-sided base is connected to the positive terminal. Once again, this side is forward bias. Similarly, look at the collector side. The N-sided base is connected to positive terminal, and P-sided collector is connected to the negative terminal. So this is reverse bias. Similarly, in NPN, the P-sided base is connected to the negative terminal and N-sided collector is connected to positive terminal. So the emitter side is always forward bias and collector side is always reverse bias. Why? Because you want the emitter to inject charge carriers into the junction, right? For that, it has to be forward bias. Similarly, you want the collector to collect all the charge carriers, or you want the collector to pull all the charge carriers away from the junction towards it. For that, it is always reverse bias. So emitter pushes the charge carriers into the junction and the collector pulls away the charge carriers from the junction. So it's like a push-pull mechanism happening here. Since the emitter diode is forward bias, its resistance is very small compared to the collector diode, which is reverse bias. Therefore, the forward bias applied to the emitter diode is usually small, whereas the reverse bias on the collector diode is much higher. So you can see in this schematic, this side, this reverse bias is going to be usually much higher compared to this forward bias. Now coming into the details of the transistor action. So as I said, the emitter base junction of the transistor is forward bias, whereas collector base junction is reverse bias. Since the collector diode is reverse bias, basically no current flows through it. So whatever current comes to the collector circuit is from the forward bias emitter diode. In other words, the collector current depends entirely on the emitter current. When emitter current increases, collector current also increases. Similarly, when emitter current decreases or the source current decreases, the collector current also decreases proportionally. Let's first discuss about the working of an NPN transistor. Okay. So you have the emitter being N-type, base being P-type, and the collector once again being N-type. The emitter base junction is forward bias with bias voltage VEB. You can see N side is connected to negative terminal, P side is connected to the positive terminal, and the collector diode is reverse bias with bias voltage VCB. So here C stands for collector, B stands for base. So here the P side is connected to negative and N side is connected to the positive. Okay. Since the emitter or the source is N-type, it's going to basically generate current flow in terms of free electrons. Right? So you can visualize current flow from emitter into the collector in terms of flow of electrons, conduction electrons. So the forward bias causes the electrons in the N-type emitter to flow towards the base. So this flow of electron from emitter to base constitute a current known as emitter current IE. As these electrons flow through the P-type base, they tend to combine with the holes in the base. As the base is lightly doped and very thin, only a few electrons, less than 5%, combine with the holes. So once they combine with the hole, what happens? So originally, when they come from the emitter, they are conduction electron. Remember, the holes always reside in the valence band. So in order to combine with the hole, the conduction electron jumps from the conduction band to the valence band. Essentially, it becomes a valence electron now. So once the conduction electron becomes valence electron, what happens? It sees a positive terminal here, right? So it is attracted towards the positive terminal. So as valence electron, they continue to flow towards the positive terminal of the bias voltage VEB. So this flow of valence electrons constitute a current known as base current IB. So originally you have emitter current IE originating from the emitter. A tiny part of that now becomes the base current. Now the majority of the charge carriers, more than 95% of the conduction electron from emitter crosses over into the collector region. And once they reach the collector region, they see the positive terminal here, so they flow towards that positive terminal. So this constitutes a current known as collector current IC. Since the base is very lightly doped and thin, I said the magnitude of base current is very small. So majority of the charge carriers flow towards the collector. In other words, almost the entire emitter current flows into the collector circuit. The reasons that most of the electrons from the emitter continue their journey through the base towards the collector are two. First one, as we discussed, base is lightly doped and very thin. Therefore, very few holes find enough time to combine with electron. And the second reason is, even if you look at the 95% of the conduction electrons here, they have an option to move towards this positive terminal, thereby being a part of the base current. But they don't do that. Why? Because as I said, the reverse bias voltage is much higher compared to the forward bias. So the negative potential at this point is going to be much more dominant compared to this negative potential. Therefore, the conduction electrons which arrive at the base, they are going to experience a much higher attractive force towards the collector. That's why most of them flow towards the collector and become a part of the collector current. Now in terms of current, if you look at the entire schematic here, you have the source current IE, which is getting divided into IB and IC. So you can write IE equal to IB plus IC. But as I said, IB is very small, so you can say IE is almost equal to IC. Entire emitter current flows into the collector. Coming to the working of a PNP transistor, it is exactly the same procedure here. You have the emitter now being P-type, base now being N-type, and collector once again being P-type. Emitter base junction is forward bias with potential VEB. Base collector junction is reverse bias with potential VCB. Emitter is once again is the source. It generates charge carriers, and some of them will become a part of the base current, but majority of them will flow towards the collector current and constitute the collector current. The only difference here is that since the emitter is p-type, the majority carriers are holes. So charge flow or the current flow from emitter to the base is in terms of flow of holes instead of conduction electron we discuss in the case of NPN transistor. So the forward bias causes the holes in the p-type emitter to flow towards the base. This constitutes the emitter current IE. As these holes cross into the N-type base, they tend to combine with the electrons there. As the base is slightly doped and very thin, only a few holes, less than 5%, combine with these electrons to constitute the base current IB. The remainder, more than 95%, cross into the collector region to constitute collector current IC. In this way, almost the entire emitter current flows into the collector circuit. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind, when it comes to the semiconductor, the current flow is in terms of flow of holes. But if you look at the external connecting wires, here the charge carriers are mainly the conduction electron or the free electron. So in the wires, the current flow is due to the flow of electrons, whereas in the semiconductor, the current flow is in terms of the flow of holes. That's why if you look at the flow of charges in the current, it is from the negative terminal towards the positive terminal. So basically these are the electrons, but here it is the holes. But in reality, you know that holes never travel, it is the electrons. So when I say holes traveling from emitter to base, actually what is happening? Electrons are traveling from the base towards the emitter. Or when I say there is current flow from emitter to the collector due to holes, actually what happens? The electrons are flowing in the opposite direction from collector towards the emitter. So once again, the emitter current is a sum of base current and collector current. So I write IE equal to IB plus IC. Now, what is the importance of this transistor action? So if you look at the input circuit, the emitter base junction, since it is forward bias, it has very low resistance. Whereas the output circuit, which is the collector base junction, since it is reverse bias, it has high resistance. As we have seen, the emitter current almost entirely flows into the collector circuit. Therefore, a transistor transfers the input signal current from a low resistance circuit to a high resistance circuit. This is the key factor responsible for the amplifying capability of the transistor. So this is a transfer of signal from a low resistance to high resistance. So this is transfer plus resistor. You take the first part of transfer and the second part of resistor, combine these, you get the transistor action here. So you have to keep this in mind whenever you analyze a transistor application. This is the fundamental thing happening inside a transistor, especially in the context of amplification. Moving on to transistor symbol. So if you look at this NPN transistor, these arrows show the direction of conventional current. So you have to keep in mind the direction of conventional current is always opposite of direction of flow of electrons, right? Because by convention it is assumed that current is due to the flow of positive charges. So in NPN transistor, we know that electrons flow from emitter to the collector. So the direction of conventional current is from collector towards the emitter, as indicated by this red arrow. And since conventional current is flow of positive charges, it always originates from the positive terminal and ends in the negative terminal. So IB is in this direction and IE is towards this negative terminal, and once again IC is from this positive terminal. So this is the symbol for a transistor. This is emitter side, collector side, base side. Emitter side will have an arrow mark here, and this arrow is an outgoing arrow which indicates that the conventional current flows out of the emitter. When you look at a PNP transistor, here the flow of holes is from emitter towards the collector. Since holes are positively charged, the direction of conventional current is also the same, as indicated by this red arrow. So this is the direction of IE, this is IB, and this is IC. This is the symbol. Instead of an outgoing arrow, now you have an inward arrow indicating that the conventional current flows into the emitter. Let's now discuss the most important application of a transistor, that is transistor as an amplifier. So here we take an NPN transistor. So the emitter diode is forward bias with potential VEB, and the collector diode is reverse bias with potential VCB. As we know, an amplifier basically raises the strength of a weak signal and make it a strong signal. So that's the basic function of an amplifier, and here we are going to show a transistor can do exactly the same thing. It can increase the strength of a weak signal. So here the weak input signal is applied between the emitter base junction, and the output is taken across the load resistor RC, which is connected in the collector circuit. In order to achieve faithful amplification, the input circuit should always remain forward bias. So we know here already there is a forward bias voltage VEB, but in addition to VEB, now you have an input signal. So you should choose the magnitude of VEB in such a way that it keeps the input circuit forward bias irrespective of the polarity of the input signal. For example, if you have a sinusoidal wave with peak voltage 1 volt, okay, so you should choose VEB greater than 1 volt. Otherwise what happens? Suppose VEB is 0.5 volt. So during the negative half cycle, this signal is minus 1 volt, this is 0.5 volt. So in total you have minus 0.5 volts. So your emitter diode is going to be reverse bias. You don't want that to happen. So always choose VEB in such a way that the input side is always forward biased. As the input circuit has low resistance, why? Because this is forward bias. A small change in the input signal voltage causes an appreciable change in the emitter current. This causes almost the same change in collector current due to transistor action, because IE equal to IB plus IC. IB is very small, so IC is almost same as IE, right? Whatever is the change in the emitter current, same change is going to reflect on the collector side as well. But on the collector side, now you have a load resistor RC, and the value of RC is typically very high. So the collector current is going to flow through a high load resistance. So this produces a large voltage across it, because according to Ohm's law, voltage is current into resistance, right? When resistance increases, the voltage drop also going to increase. So you have a large voltage on the output side. Thus, a weak signal applied in the input circuit appears in the amplified form in the collector circuit. Therefore, transistor acts as an amplifier. I can illustrate this with an example. Suppose collector load resistance RC is 5 kilo ohm. Also assume that a change of 0.1 volt in the input signal voltage produces a change of 1 milliampere current in the emitter current. So your input signal has a change of 0.1 volt and the emitter current change is 1 milliampere. Since collector current follows the emitter current, the change in the collector current would also be approximately equal to 1 milliampere. This collector current flowing through the collector load of 5 kilo ohm is going to produce a voltage 5 kilo ohm into 1 milliampere, which is 5 volt. So an input voltage change of 0.1 volt is going to cause a change of 5 volt on the output side, right? In other words, the transistor has been able to raise the voltage level of the input signal from 0.1 volt to 5 volt. So what is that? The amplification factor or gain is output by input. 5 volt divided by 0.1 volt, this is 50. So transistor is able to increase the strength of the signal 50 times. So this is the basic idea behind the working of a transistor as an amplifier. It transfers the signal or transfer the weak signal from a low input, low resistance circuit to a high resistance circuit. So in that process, the strength of the signal amplifies. There are different ways you can achieve this amplification. The three major configurations are common emitter configuration, common base configuration, and common collector configuration. In the next class, we will discuss in detail about them. Stay tuned. Thank you.